the outcome, what you're gonna see at the end of that masterpiece. So what you're gonna be doing is painting a masterpiece with words. Painting a masterpiece with words. And how you visualize what you're writing about is very helpful. So when you think about writing, what's your topic? Did you all choose topics already? Or we're just at the beginning?
It's not at the beginning, but
It's based on the
legacy and legend.
It's based on the interviews that you completed?
Legacies and leaders.
Right, but, so you've already selected those individuals that you're gonna be interviewing and talking about and all that good stuff. Yes? So I was researching this area, and I came across a little place called Carver Heights High School. Have you all heard of that high school?
We have a middle school called middle school, but not Carver.
Yeah, it's Carver Middle School.
But did you know it was a high school?
the ones
Yes.
in the part of the time.
Before it was a middle school, it was Carver Heights High School. Yeah, I was like, what? So I'm gonna leave this up here and we'll let you look at it later. But you have to know your environment and the people that are around you. Remember, the person sitting in that chair, she got a good history behind her. What is your purpose? Your educators that you deal with every day in school. You have your educators, you have your administrators. You know your principal has like a education background, English. It's like that. Students, the parents, your community. Your purpose is to connect with all four of these entities because all four of them will provide you with something different.
Can you repeat the four again?
Sure. Administration is administration education. That's one. That's your circle of educators that are around you every single day. Your librarian, your teachers, your janitors. Everyone plays a significant role. Don't count anyone out when you're interviewing and trying to work on a project. Every person is important. The other students in your circle, whereas Madeline may be talking about something that Sabrina is interested, that Ricardo and Joelle and say it. Nazelia may be interested in. I'll get it right by the end of the session. But if you don't talk and you don't know each other, and you haven't introduced, because that was a part, we were supposed to introduce ourselves to each other, because you work in silos, but you're working on a project together. So the five of you need to know each other. It's like, how is it going with this, or how is it going with that? Someone may be able to give you pointers. So the four, again, was administrators, educators, your students, which is your core group, and your peers outside of this group. The parents, your aunts, uncles, all of those could be support to you and the community at large. Some of you go to pizzerias or restaurants or whatever every day. What is that person's story that's running that restaurant or that's serving you that meal? Every single day for the last how many years? You've seen Miss Joanne or Mr. Whoever. You go to the corner store, you know certain people are going to be there. So just think about that. So you have to know your purpose for what you're doing, this work. So painting with a picture, painting with words, I was able to find Mr. Robert S. Singleton was an American engineer that graduated from this school. You can use your little paper to write down those different things. And Danny, I can't read his last name because I'm using the words big, but he was an NFL player. But these are graduates from this school. And Carter Heights High and Lake County training school was integrated into this school. This school was not always what it was, so your homework, extra reading time, or whatever it is. What's the history behind the school that you're in? Your seniors, you've been here 3 years already, right? 2 years, 2 years, 3 years. What's the history behind the school that you attend every day? I know they're painted orange and black, and that's because of the football team, or that's the school colors. But what's the history behind the school? You all have a very interesting history. I won't tell you. You look it up. It's right online for you. Communication and writing. Oftentimes, it's easy to write something down that we're thinking, but it's always better to look at our grammar, the vocabulary that we use. Check that spelling. Sometimes we write in Ebonics. You know how you send them text messages? And I love you or whatever, and you put all of the icons. I have to try to figure it out sometimes because I don't know what some of the stuff that you always see and sending. You know, you got the emojis. All of them have a different meaning behind them. The sentence structure, the research, the accuracy, and the clarity. And Ms. Lynn was saying she's looking for product by February. It takes me forever to put something together. But for you all that like to write, you already have the topic. So you can just go ahead and start writing. I said review your grammar and your spelling. And I put my elementary school principal on here. That's what I was going to show you. Because he, Mr. Ford, they just named the school in his honor. But he worked doing integration. And with Mr. Fordham, he worked at a all-white school and he worked at an all-black school at the same time. So history is history. However we want to look at it, history is history, and we have to move forward. Read what you want to write. So, for example, if you want to write about, there's Mr. Fordham, we wrote a story on. This is a little magazine that we published. That's Mr. Fordham. If you want to write certain stories that are normally in the newspapers or whatever, read about it. If you want to write a biography, go and pull a book out of the library. Find a resource that you like to read about. I think we have Comic-Con. Anybody know Comic-Con? You know, when you dress up like the not sports, but the characters.
Comic-Con, where the outfits for Avengers and the DC comics.
Yeah, we're talking about it. Yeah, so we have one coming up in November. It's huge. They dress up like Spider-Man, Batman, and Robin, and all these other characters. And I don't even know who some of them are. But read what you like to write about. Some of them like romance novels, or some like history novels, some like fiction. So everybody has a genre that they like. So go and pick up something and read or research and look at what you think you like reading. Magazine articles, Ebony, Jet, Housekeepers, and all those different magazines. Just pick up articles. The newspaper have plenty of articles. Find a writer that you like in the writing style. It's like, oh, I like the way they write. You don't have to copy or mimic them. You form your own, but just get an idea. Proofreading your work. Set your work aside. You already have your time, and you have to read and reread what you already have. And it's always great to have someone else. And we have a group of 5. I don't know if you all meet together, but it's good to have someone else in your circle to read your work. Because I can write something, but it makes perfectly good sense to me. But when my friend reads it, she's tearing my document up. I'm like, well, hold on. I thought I did a good job. You know somebody that does that? And you know how you have a teacher that uses a red pen to mark your writing and stuff? I had a boss that used purple. You send a document to her and it comes back with all this purple ink. That was her way of saying, correct this, do this over, reword this. And this is in the workforce. Some things you miss in high school.
You mind if I make a suggestion? To have the experience of editing somebody else's work, you should all put your names in a hat and each one pull one out, and you will be an editor for one of the others, so that it's not all the same person doing it. This is something I do professionally, but the experience of reading somebody else's work and learning how to look for the things that will make it better, it will make you a better writer too.
Yes.
Just toss me out.
Sure. One of the things that we're doing with these young folks is we have a, what do we call it, a call every Monday and Wednesday. And on that call, they work with Saraya, who's in New Jersey, who's also a writer, and she will give them pointers on the stories that they've already written.
Oh,
So,
that's awesome.
yeah, so they've already gotten the first draft of their stories together, probably except Ricardo, because he just came into the program in Madeline. But they have the first draft, and they are doing really good at writing, and Terea is doing really good at pulling things out of the stories they're telling and giving them some pointers. So to
That's
your
awesome.
suggestion, yes.
That's awesome. And this
Attention students, Mr. Austin's class, please go to the blacktop. Mr. Austin's class, you are going to the blacktop at this time. Thank you.
Ms. Lynn, maybe she's a good resource for you too. I learned so much, but when I heard about the project, I made time to come here to make sure I can be with you all.
Yeah.
So you can't say, well, you know, they do this and they don't ever come. Can't say that about me, so you're gonna be able to put my name down in history. So proofread or get someone else to proofread your work, and it's good to, you know, it's good to have someone outside of your circle to read your work, because your friends may say, oh, yeah, that's good. That ain't no good friend. Don't let my work go to the publisher and they just kick it back. When someone could have read, you know, proofread it and gave you suggestions to make it better. And I said get feedback from your staff, your peers, your parents. And your parents will give you some true feedback, but sometimes we don't want to hear what they have to say, because we know everything, right? Think about this structure, and since you already have had your first proof and everything back, just think about what you have written and how you can make it better. So you can take a sentence as simple as the red apple sitting on the teacher's desk, and you can talk about that red, juicy, delicious apple that you were so hungry. You just wanted to take a bite of that apple, but you thought the teacher made you upset. Same thing, same situation, the apple's on the desk, but you just made it come to life by what you're thinking, what you can say about that apple on the desk. Writing and rewriting is the best thing for writing. Because you write a draft and everyone says, well, now go back and read it and write another draft.
Mr. Austin,
Who wants to do that? I've already written one draft amongst the other homework that I have to do. So this is in addition to your regular work,
Thank you.
correct? So this is in addition to your regular work, so you're overachievers, right? You're leaders in the market. So you're setting an example for others to follow. Is this the first group?
First group.
What? Your name goes down in history. You're number one. First group. So everyone that comes behind you, they're looking at your mom, right? So think about that. You know some of the common fixes. When we had the Olympic champions for ice skating to come to Ocala, you know, Erin won the gold medal from Ocala. She's from Ocala. Yes, ice skating. We have an Olympic gold medalist from Ocala in winter sports. We don't even have any snow. We don't even have an ice skating rink. But she's number one. And oftentimes, with Erin, I'll just share her story. She's from Ocala, from the West community, but she had a vision. When she was in high school, she wrote in her yearbook that she was going to be an Olympic gold medalist. In high school, she wrote it in her yearbook. And she did it. She's a UF grad. She's very smart, like a straight A student. And normally you don't hear the straight A students in the sports that intermingle together. And I think she was talking about going into being an astronaut or something like that. She is so smart. But she's an Olympic medalist, gold medalist at that. And when we met with her and her colleague was a silver medalist and the other one was a bronze medalist. But they were saying they had been doing it so long, skating and practicing, and all of the hours so long. And then she comes right in and win a gold medal. Just like you. Come right in and take the writing by storm. And you know all the writing styles. I had to look this up. I've been out of high school almost 40 years, and I was like, okay. But it's depending on what writing style you like. Ma'am?
I said, many more than that.
I know.
So it's not a whole lot.
So I was like, okay, let me make sure I got all of this. So you want to make sure what type of story you're writing about, whether it's factual, whether you're going to just tell a story, and you want to paint the picture in the mind of the person who's reading that picture, reading your story. Who's going to read your story? Who do you want to read your story? It's always someone that inspires you. Who is that inspirational person to you?
These story writers are going to be telling their story on November 12th. They're going to stand up before the community and tell the story themselves in their own voice.
So they already have a topic,
Yeah.
but it's not about them.
Some of it is about them as well, yeah. So they are writing about a leader and a legend that's been assigned to them, and we want to see them in the writing, how they were impacted by that particular leader and legend as they look to the future, because these are our future leaders and legends. We'll be celebrating the past, the present leaders and legends. We have 2 ladies that are deceased that we'll be honoring, as well as 6 that are still with us, and we'll be honoring these students as well as they tell the stories about the past and present leaders and legends, and also interject some story about themselves too, how they've been impacted by the people that they're interviewing.
You know what, with that right there, I would come in character. Who's talking about Deacon Jones?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody. That's just but you know, when you're telling a story, especially if you're telling a story like I am now, dressed into that character takes you back or bringing you forward to what you're talking about. You can talk about yourself, but if you're talking about a particular person, you know, like if I was to tell a story about my mother, Monday through Saturday, regular clothes person, you never knew who she was. On Sunday, looked like that's the only day she put on clothes. Church lady, big hats, you know, but it's descriptive of her. But an everyday person, you wouldn't be able to pick her out. So just since you already have your leaders and legends that was assigned to you, some of this won't apply. But you can take and put a spin on what you've already written. So you good, Carter, because you coming in fresh, you getting it all. The way you get started, and you've already started, is simply to start writing. Write a little bit every day. I know sometimes you become busy, and it's just overwhelming with everything else that you have to do. But write a little bit every day. Read what you've already written and try to edit what you've already done. Just a little bit every day, and it won't seem so cumbersome when it's time to present on November 12th. November 12th? Oh my gosh. Here?
No, at the Everglades Recreation Center in the Villages. It's going to be a formal event.
Formal
So,
I like to dress up.
we certainly hope you'll be there.
I probably have my camera so you all see how it feels for.
That's
I
right.
got to be
That's
with you.
exactly right.
And I said, who or what are you writing about? Because I didn't know all the details. You were selected, you were given the persons that you're writing about. So everyone knows something about the persons or the subject matter that you're writing about. But your job is to find something different that they did not know. If you can find something different that they did not know about the person that you're writing about, even something about yourself. Everyone sitting around the table and everyone in the room, you know yourself better than anyone, even your parents. Some people may say, oh, she's outgoing, she likes to be in front of people. That's not true. I do what I have to do, you know? So find something in your story that makes it personable for you, and you relating to that other person. And so I had looked up some more people in your community. Had the Carver Heights, and then you have Simone Richardson, that's an artist in your community. And there's always somebody in your family, in your church, that you can talk about, and you can tie it in. So you already have your project started, right? You already started. You have your subject that you're writing about. Did you make an outline of what you're going to make sure that's in there? I'm going to get an outline about what you're writing about. Okay. Research is never ending, because you're laying in bed at night and you're thinking about one more thing that you can talk about, just one more thing, and it wakes you up. You reach your arm outside of the bed and you scribble it on your paper that's beside the bed, and then you wake up the next morning and you can't read it. You have to get up and write it. I mean it up. Edit, write your final details, and you know your project due date. I know it's before the 17th, but you have a project due date. Your interest, remember, everyone has a story, and every story matters. But who is writing or telling the story is important. No one can tell your story better than you can. And that's all I have. Questions? Questions? For me? And I